Here's your wrestling news for January 19th, 2023, and we're kicking off with Vince McMahon, who returned to WWE to snag a media rights deal and to be at the center of sale negotiations, despite fans believing they'd never see him again. Both before and after his return to WWE, the question on the minds of fans was how would the allegations of misconduct affect the influence of potential buyers, and we may now have our answer. When WWE CEO Nick Khan appeared on the Bill Simmons podcast, he discussed various topics, including the current state of WWE and its future. When asked if McMahon is ready and willing to sell at this time, Khan said he believes he is, stating, "I think he's ready. I can't describe it as anything more than that after the last 5 months. I'm looking at the world of consolidation, the standalone enterprise that owns 99% of its intellectual property with the media rights coming up in October of 2024, which means the process starts in a few months on that to certainly go lock in a bunch of long-term deals, and then to try and sell to everybody doesn't make sense. The timing is now. That's the goal. Unless one of the media conglomerates ends up buying it directly, then they certainly wouldn't want it encumbered by any long-term media rights deals elsewhere." The major takeaway from Khan's quote is that WWE isn't going to take too long to initiate a sale, as it would not do them any good to lock in a new 5-year media rights deal with the likes of NBC, Universal, or Fox, only to later be purchased by the likes of Netflix, Amazon, or Disney. Speaking on the podcast, Nick Khan described Tony as seeming like a good kid before recalling a time when he and Stephanie McMahon met Shahid Khan. He said, "I've never met the kid. Tony Khan seems like a nice kid to me. I don't know him. I've met his dad, Shahid Khan, who I randomly sat next to at some sports business luncheon that Stephanie McMahon and I went to a year and a half or so ago. I thought the dad was impressive as could be. I think there was a piece on him in the New York Times a year or so prior to that. A self-made billionaire, I believe Pakistani immigrant, could not be more impressed with him." Nick was asked whether he sees Tony and AEW as a threat, to which he had this to say, "I don't feel threatened by anyone or anything. It's just not how I do business. I don't care what anyone else is doing. I care what we're doing. And as long as we have the best product on with the best talent and the best writers, I think we're going to be in good shape." Khan was asked if the allegations against McMahon, including a lawsuit by Rita Chatterton, could deter potential investors, but according to WWE's CEO, this is just something the company will get around. "I think everyone's just plowing ahead. You just move forward, right? Because all of these businesses, there's never a clean, clear path. There's always some encumbrance, something in the way, some hurdle in the way that you have to get around or get through. So I see that like I would any other item like it." For those who are unaware, Chatterton was WWE's first female referee and is seeking $11.5 million in damages from McMahon, who she alleges raped her in the back of a limousine in 1986. After being fired from the company that same year, Chatterton went public about the alleged assault in 1992, an accusation that McMahon has always denied. When McMahon retired as CEO and chairman last year, it was due to millions being paid in NDAs to women over alleged misconduct, but there is no confirmation whether Chatterton received a penny. According to the Wall Street Journal, Chatterton's attorney John Klein sent a demand letter to McMahon's lawyer on November 3rd of last year, stating that what McMahon allegedly did to her was hard to overstate. That same letter alleges that Chatterton has suffered from years of ongoing depression, substance abuse, disordered eating, lost income, and overall a decreased quality of life due to what allegedly took place. There's a lot going on backstage in WWE, with rumors that the company could be taken private given the right buyer, and after fighting his way to return to WWE, it could be that McMahon now has to fight to keep his role as executive chairman. With the 30th anniversary episode of WWE Raw being right around the corner, Nick Khan was asked if McMahon was planning a return to television or storylines as we gear up for WrestleMania 39. "Not at this moment. No is the answer to that question. Could it change in a few months? Sure, it could change, but that would be Paul and Vince being on the same page about it. I don't see it right now." News of a potential sale of WWE has been heralded as the story of the century, with countless people in the wrestling world having an opinion on what should come next. For years, The Rock saw the inner workings of WWE up close, and when speaking to CNBC, he gave his advice to whoever will end up buying the company. "With the world of professional wrestling in WWE, it's so unique. The fan base is very large and very passionate. There's nothing like the WWE. With new owners, if there are new owners, and acquirers who come in, they have to share that same passion that Vince has and for the world of pro wrestling. With a company like this that has been so incredibly successful over the years, a sale and acquisition can be very complicated. There is a unique anchor added, I believe, where Vince feels you have to find the right buyer who still has the passion and love for this unique world. I could tell you this, it's an exciting brand. It's a brand I've been very fortunate to have tremendous success over the decades. Also, for your viewers in the business world, the lineage goes back multi-generational for WWE. I wish Vince and that company all the best. There had been some rumors that perhaps the Brahma Bull himself would buy, with The Rock saying last October that he had discussed the idea with Nick Khan. However, The Rock was quick to say that he doesn't see a position in Titan Towers for him, and even if he were to try and attempt to buy WWE, he would need some serious financial backup. Whoever does end up buying WWE, they will be the owners of the biggest, most influential wrestling promotion on the planet, and The Rock just hopes that the buyers are up to the challenge. Arguably, the most interesting name listed as a potential buyer is Tony Khan, as the AEW and ROH owner isn't opposed to adding a third promotion to his growing collection. Sitting down with the Maggie and Perloff show, Khan was asked about the potential of a WWE sale, and as you'd expect, is keeping a close eye on what's going on. I'm interested in the news that there is potentially a sales process, and certainly I think we've shown when there are acquisitions and transactions, we're capable of making big purchases. Whether my dad steps up with the Jacksonville Jaguars or Fulham FC in the Premier League, and he's done such a great job building up the club and putting resources into it, and we're playing football at a high level. With AEW, we've shown that we can build a company. Even when I purchased Ring of Honor, that's a very different thing than WWE, but Ring of Honor is a company with 20 years of history, and I really have enjoyed running it, and we've shown that we're at all-time highs in terms of every business metric since we relaunched it, and it's only going to get better. AEW is my main focus, but certainly, when that news is out there, it's very interesting. Stay tuned to AEW Dynamite and AEW Rampage. You never know when I'm going to address something. On the other hand, it's very preliminary to talk about that process. If there is a process there, which it sounds like there may be, I'm interested in being part of it. It's believed that if a deal were made, Tony and his father Shahid Khan would align with a financial partner to secure a purchase of WWE. While the Khans have experience running wrestling promotions, many feel that TK buying WWE is a long shot. If for nothing else, then Vince McMahon's pride would never allow him to sell out to his competition. From the Khans to the Saudi PIF, there's no shortage of names who could become WWE's new owners, and while unlikely, it's possible that WWE will soon become All Elite. Yesterday, we reported on the tragic passing of Jay Briscoe, who was killed in a car accident this week at the age of 38. Briscoe, who was one half of the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions at the time of his death, collided with another vehicle, and we're now learning more about this terrible accident. In a report by Delaware State PD, it was revealed that the crash occurred on January 17th at 5:09 p.m. local time when a 2019 Chevrolet Silverado collided with a 2016 Chevrolet Silverado. It is said that, for unknown reasons, the driver of the second vehicle, the one Jay wasn't driving, decided to not remain in her lane, cross the center lane, and enter the eastbound lane which Jay was driving on. Unable to avoid in time, Briscoe's pickup truck collided with the other vehicle, which was being driven by 27-year-old Lillian Turnahan of Frankfort, Delaware. Turnahan was wearing her seatbelt but died, and it is reported that Briscoe was not wearing his seatbelt at the time. As for Jay's passengers, his two daughters, aged 9 and 12, were both taken by ambulance to the nearest hospital, where they were said to be in critical condition. The report states that whether alcohol was involved in this crash is unknown, and that the roadway was closed for 4 hours before things reopened. The fact that this accident happened mere minutes away from Jay's home only makes this ordeal all the more tragic, and we're continuing to send our best to his family and those who knew him at this sad time. Losing Jay must be unimaginably harrowing for his family, but their ordeal is sadly far from over. On Facebook, Jay's wife Ashley sent out a heartfelt message and asked for everyone to keep their daughter Grace in their prayers as she has undergone surgery on her back. Their other daughter, Jay Lee, has also undergone some pretty serious injuries, although Ashley said that she is stable and resting. She says, "We need prayers. Gracie is on her way to surgery on her back. Jamin, Jay Briscoe's real name, would want the whole world praying for his little girl. We believe in the power of prayer. Pray for the doctors and everyone working on her. Pray for her precious legs to move again. Pray for Jaylee, who has some pretty serious injuries but is stable and resting. Pray for Gannon waiting at home. Pray for strength for all of us. We have a long, long road ahead of us." This is nothing short of an awful time for the entire family, and we can only hope that they find some comfort at this terrible time. These aren't the only details that have come out about the crash, as Ringside News was able to obtain the emergency log about what happened earlier this week. After the collision at 5:09 p.m., it would be 9 minutes until the first responders arrived, where they confirmed people were still in the vehicles and there was fire. At 5:29, the emergency staff talked Jay's two daughters through getting out of the wreck, with one being described as a critical pediatric. It wouldn't be until 5:41 that Briscoe and Turnahan were pronounced dead and that his two daughters were transported to the nearest hospital. Brian Alvarez later reported that the school that Jay's daughters attend was closed the next day, and a statement by the school said that an unthinkable tragedy had occurred. This is truly a terrible story that we wish had never happened, and our thoughts remain with Jay's wife and daughters throughout this process. Jay Briscoe's death has hit the entire pro wrestling world in a big way, and tributes came flooding in for the 38-year-old tag team specialist from around the entire industry. Of course, a major issue on social media is that you never quite know how your tweet will be perceived, and that's something Eric Bischoff learned this week. Recently, Dave Meltzer was accused of reporting false stories, and when Bischoff retweeted a link to an article calling Meltzer out, he tweeted, "Let's expose this piece of garbage for what he is. Retweet with reckless abandon." In response, fans noted how Jay Briscoe had just died, while another told Bischoff that the wrestling world was in mourning and this was a fight to have on another day. Another said that the majority of fans were focused on something else, referencing Briscoe's passing, while another said that there's a time and place for Eric's comments on Meltzer, and this is neither. Almost every wrestler, both past and present, has left a tribute about Briscoe, with many speaking about the gratitude they had for him for receiving advice and help. Others have spoken about how good a human being he is, and we imagine Bischoff will think twice the next time he wants to tweet during a tragedy such as this. One person who knew Jay well is Tommy Dreamer, who has given his own tribute to the ROH star in his own way. On Twitter, the ECW original spoke about knowing Jay since the latter was a fan, and was proud to see this fan become an amazing wrestler, best tag team, and realest promo guy. Dreamer added that he nearly texted Jay about the rising cost of eggs the day before his death, but didn't, and now wishes he did. The tweet added that whenever he saw eggs, he thought of the Briscoes and offered prayers to Jay's family. Dreamer is just one of countless people who Jay personally affected throughout his life, and let this situation be a message that it's never a bad time to reach out to a friend. Not only was Jay a much-loved friend, colleague, husband, and father, but he was also part of Ring of Honor at the time of his death, and was an ROH World Tag Team Champion at the time. Tony Khan has lost one of his best talents, and the AEW ROH owner has announced a tribute show for Jay. Both companies came together last night to shoot a tribute show after Dynamite, and Khan has said that it'll be free for users of his Honor Club subscription service. Khan has also said that the show will be posted in its entirety on the ROH YouTube channel, meaning as many fans as possible will be able to celebrate Briscoe's life. Last night's Dynamite saw the show open with a graphic honoring Jay, as well as the Young Bucks, Bryan Danielson, and Bandito all wearing Jay armbands, yet another sign of how much he meant to those he worked with.